Hello. Welcome to day 7 of the 31 days of Halloween. 31 scary/spooky stories in 31 days. Besides October being spooky season, the other thing October is known for is baseball. So today's story is about said subject. The Haunted Stadium.
Daring Mark uncovers eerie secrets in the haunted stadium, but can he escape its eternal grip?
And now, without further ado, let's get this show started. Also, just to be transparent, these 31 stories in 31 days are only possible because of AI, with my human involvement overseeing it.
Chapter 1. The Abandoned Stadium. The old ballpark stood as a relic of the past, forgotten by time. Ivy and overgrown weeds crawled up its crumbling exterior, nature slowly reclaiming the building that once pulsated with energy and excitement. Now it sat decrepit and silent, the echoes of cheers long faded away. This was the site of a tragedy decades ago that cut short the stadium's legacy in the world of baseball. During the championship game with victory within grasp, a deadly accident claimed the lives of star players and left the final game hauntingly unfinished. Since then, the stadium had been abandoned, cast out from the memory of the city that once revered it. Only rumors of restless spirits remained, voices on the wind replaying the cries of anguish from that fateful night. But many dismissed those stories as folklore, unwilling to remember the horrors that occurred within those walls. Mark was not one of those who forgot. Obsessed with uncovering the stadium's dark history, he assembled a small crew to document the superstitions that warned people away from this place. Only the foolish or daring entered the abandoned stadium's gaping entrances now. Mark had always considered himself a daring soul. As he stepped onto the field, overgrowth crunching under his feet, a sense of foreboding permeated the air. Mark tried to ignore it, focusing only on his mission to expose what lurked here so many decades ago. But even he could not fully suppress the chilling unease that trickled down his spine. His crew began setting up their equipment, tripods and cameras dotting the weed-choked field like explorers claiming new territory. Mark surveyed the crumbling terraces, remembering images of packed stands and excitement. It was hard to imagine such liveliness ever existing in this now dead space. Their voices echoed eerily through the vacant corridors, ambient sounds hissing and scratches skittering just out of sight. Mark chalked it up to ordinary noises of abandonment, refusing to acknowledge anything supernatural. Still, he couldn't shake the uncanny sense of being watched by invisible eyes. Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past. As the crew began filming within the abandoned stadium, the tragic history that led to its demise started to resurface. Through interviews and archival footage, the chilling events of that fated championship game came into focus. It had been a hard-fought series, with both teams battling fiercely for the coveted title. By the deciding Game 7, victory hung precariously in the balance. The home team was down to their last inning, bases loaded, championship on the line. When their star player stepped up to bat, the crowd roared with hope and excitement. But just as he swung for the winning hit, a deafening explosion tore through the stadium's underground equipment room. Flames burst forth, smoke billowed, and panicked screams filled the air, a nightmarish scene of chaos and carnage. Several players had been in the equipment room, including the star batter. They all perished instantly in the fiery blast. The game halted in an instant, never to be finished. Victory so close they could taste it, now tragically ripped away. As Mark and his crew delved deeper into the stadium's past, he could feel those dormant spirits beginning to stir. Whispers swirled around them, equipment inexplicably malfunctioned, shadows danced at the edges of light. Mark pressed on, wanting to fully document the restless afterlife of the players whose final game was so cruelly cut short. But he sensed their growing agitation. Were the spirits warning the crew away or conspiring to ensnare them into their eternal game? Mark realized too late that some histories are best left buried. By recklessly exhuming the painful memories here, he had awoken forces beyond his control. Forces that wanted retribution. Chapter 3. The Endless Game. Night draped its darkness over the decrepit stadium as Mark and his crew continued filming deep within its depths. As they reviewed footage in the shadowy dugout, the faint sounds of a cheering crowd and cracking bats echoed from the field. Mark rushed out to investigate, camera in hand. Under the glow of stadium lights, he was stunned to see ghostly players engaged in an eerie replay of that tragic final game. Oblivious to their own deaths, the Phantom team moved through the motions of a familiar routine. The spectral crowd roared around them, balls cracked off bats with hollow thuds. At the plate, the ghost of the star player returned for his doomed turn, reliving the instant where his life was cut short by tragedy. Mark knew he had to document this paranormal enactment on camera. But as he drew nearer, the player turned, fixing him with a warning glare. A reminder that the spirits here guarded this endless game fiercely. But Mark's ambition overrode all caution. The misguided desire for footage on his documentary blinded him to the danger of trespassing into the realm of the dead. He ventured closer, fatally ignoring the signs all around him. The player's glare darkened, his bat raised in a clear threat. But before Mark could react, the shadowy dugout emptied. The team converging on him as their anger at his intrusion boiled over. Panicked, Mark stumbled back, warnings echoing in his head too late. He realized with chilling dread that the doomed players had no intention of letting him escape now that he'd witnessed their endless game. A game that no one was allowed to disrupt, not even the living. Chapter 4. Forced to play. Forced to play. Mark slowly regained hazy consciousness, finding himself lying prone on the barren baseball field. The ghostly players encircled him, regarding him with ominous intent. They beckoned for him to rise and take a place among their endless game. As Mark shakily got to his feet, a tattered uniform and glove materialized beside him, ominous hand-me-downs from the long-dead team. When he pleaded to be released, the specters just continued staring with vacant eyes, devoid of any human emotion. It became chillingly clear that Mark would never be allowed to leave this haunted place. His reckless trespass had condemned him to take the place of the deceased star player, forced to recreate the doomed championship game for all eternity. With resignation settling upon him, Mark donned the faded uniform and took position on the field. All around him, the crowd roared with phantom cheers, balls cracked off bats echoing through empty stands. Mark glanced at his ghostly teammates, their listless shells only mimicking the passionate men they once were in life. Their spiritless forms fueled now by the fumes of nostalgia and tragedy. As the spectral player at bat swung and missed, the crowd jeered mechanically. Mark stepped up next, peering into the vacant faces encircling him. There was no escape from this endless cycle. Gripping the bat with dread, Mark turned to face the phantom pitcher. The crowd noise swelled, urging him to swing just as his predecessor had so many years ago at this very moment. Mark steeled himself for the pitch, resigning to his fate, forever doomed to play out the game's haunting final moments within these aging stadium walls.
Leave your thoughts about the haunted stadium. See you tomorrow for day 8 of the 31 days of Halloween scary/spooky stories.